Welcome to the Tech and Accent podcast.
Here you learn about being an expat, working abroad, technology, and more from non-native English speakers. Let's get into it. We are back at another episode of Tech and Accent, and today I have Reva Gomes here with me. How are you doing, man?
Hello, I'm doing fine.
Thanks for accepting the invitation to be here with us today in the Tech and Accent podcast. Reva Gomes is a friend of mine. We have worked together from 2014 until 2016 in Florianópolis in Brazil at Thaler, where we made, at least I made some of my best friends. And today I have the pleasure to have Reva here. He's living in Brussels, in Belgium. Reva, for us to get started, could you briefly introduce yourself personally and professionally? Who is Reva Gomes?
Okay. Who is Reva Gomes? Well, I am a software developer. Get in the software development suddenly, I would say not by mistake, but it was not the plan initially, let's say. I am advertisement in university. I had graduated in the a technician course before starting my graduation in university, and then I was like, okay, I don't want to continue in that area. I want to do something different. And then I was hoping to become like a web designer or something like that. I liked art in general. At that time, I was playing music and doing other artistic things. So it was kind of what was driving me at that moment. But when I started getting internship in places and started working, was gravitating all around software development, web development more specifically. So I continued doing that, web design and other more artistic thing related to web. I was doing more like hobby style than like a professionally, let's say. So yes, what else? As I said, I was always interested in art in general. I liked dance, sing, play music, do sports, things like that. When I was younger, I had a few bands which I liked a lot.
What kind of music style you used to play?
When I started, it was more like a rock and roll thing. When in my early stages when I was playing, it was funny because my mom had like a acoustic guitar that was kind of forgotten, and it didn't have all the strings, so it was not proper to play, but because we had that, I was like playing with that thing. That led me to start this curiosity towards music. So one of our
How many strings did the guitar had? Do you remember?
It had 3 only 3, and then I couldn't do anything with it, right? And then one neighbor came to my house one day and saw that I had that, and he was starting to learn how to play acoustic guitar. So then he convinced me, let's buy like a kit with all the strings, and then I'll show you one of the things that I'm learning, and then we can start practicing together. So that was how it started.
That's
and cool. And then I got obsessed. And then I started trying to see how I could record things. And I had like a PC. So I bought these P10 something. These plugs that I could plug
your guitar in your computer.
Acoustic guitar in the computer,
Yeah.
So then I was recording things with Audacity, like a very cheap open source. Cheap, I mean, because it's free, it's open source. But it was really good, and I still use it till today. So I was like recording things and playing and like discovering. So that was like the beginning.
How old were you when you started playing?
I was let's see,
more or less.
15,
Okay.
15, I guess.
Because one thing that is not in our agenda, but I think it's interesting because nowadays you live in Europe. But as far as
Yeah.
I remember, when you had a band, you came to Europe to play with your band. Is that correct?
Ah, yes, that's true.
Where did you
I
go?
was yes. So we got this invitation to play here in Europe. It was in 2016, and we started in Portugal.
16?
We played Portugal.
I thought it was earlier.
Sorry?
You said 2016.
2006. Sorry.
Okay,
No,
because
2006. 2006. Yeah, 16. I was. We were working together.
Exactly.
Yes. So it was 2006. Maybe not. No.
More or less. No worries.
Thinking. It was 2008. Yes, like June, July, more or less.
And where did you go?
Yes. So then we went to Portugal, Spain, France,
really
Czech
cool.
Republic, Germany.
Was it your first time in Europe?
Yes, it was.
One thing. Sorry. Go ahead.
It was like an adventure. All the things that I never had experience all together was interesting.
That's really cool.
I've learned a lot.
One thing that I think it's really interesting about yourself is that so you had this experience when you were very young, like in Europe, but when we met, you used to travel quite a lot as well in Latin America, right?
Ah, yes. That was kind of one of the things that I liked when I was looking back to the decisions that I made, because I was always like thinking, was like a good decision, like going in that professional field that I was doing, or should I have tried a bit more to be more in the music art scene? And then I started participating, like attending to events and applying to give talks in events, and then it brought me that opportunity to travel and meet new people and like have these new experiences quite often.
To which places you went in Latin America?
So I went to Colombia, Peru, Chile, and yes, I was also close to Argentina, because some of the events that I was going was in Curitiba, kind of around. It was actually what's the name? The Iguazu waterfalls.
Yeah.
So the event was in that area. So then after the event, we were going to have like some things to drink in Argentina, and then getting back to the city to Iguazu. So yes, so it counts, but it doesn't count that much.
Yeah. And one thing before we go to the next question I have to you, because the conversation is quite interesting, and now that we are talking, I am remembering things that I did not put in our agenda. And one thing that I am super curious about yourself as well is, like, when I knew you, when we started working together, like at Thaler at that moment, you were one of the guys that was really into open source, right? How did you started contributing to open source projects, out of curiosity?
Yes. So I started, like I got to know that term and this concept in the beginning of my professional career, let's say. I was working in a company. I needed something to edit the code, right? At that point, there was nothing. I was always learning most of the things that I knew on my own, searching Google and things like that. So I didn't have that much knowledge. Like how to do the things, right? When we were doing the technician course, I remember that we used Eclipse IDE for programming Java, but I had like not a really good experience learning Java at that point. So I got traumatized, let's say. and I didn't connect that I could use that IDE for other things, I don't know. So I never tried it later on. And to do the other things, I don't even remember what I was doing. But then I decided, okay, I have to use something else. In the beginning, I was doing just the note, using only the notepad in Windows.
That's hardcore.
And then I was thinking, this is not good. It's not good. So then I had to switch to another thing. And the first thing that I saw was the Notepad++, and that was the first open source software that I used. I got curious about it, and then I learned more about how it started, who was the person behind it. I saw that there was something that had this possibility to contribute, but I was not that much into it. And then when I moved, because at that time we were doing websites as well, but it was using a ASP3 language, and then later on we started working with .NET. I worked just a little bit with that. I was not that much into it. And after this period, I moved to work with WordPress and Drupal. It was in 2009.
PHP land.
Yes. And then I went from ASP to PHP. And then when I started working with WordPress and Drupal, I got more into open source. And Drupal was the first community that I saw that I could help. Especially because it was not only with contributing with code, right? At that time, there was these IRC channels that we were using to talk and ask for help.
Yeah,
exactly. And the translation teams that were helping translating the software. So in the beginning, I was doing that. I was helping translating and helping with the questions in the IRC channel. That later on, I entered.
Can I interrupt you just for a second? I imagine that you have learned quite a lot about these open source tools just by helping with translating the tool itself, its documentation. Is that true, or am I wrong?
I'm thinking. So I wouldn't say that I've learned like the software by translating it. I didn't learn that much that way. I learned a lot more helping others, because sometimes there were questions that I even know I didn't know, but then I was like excited to answer.
All right.
And then I just like I was taking some time to see how can I do this.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to do it to answer that question. So I started learning this way.
That's quite cool.
Yes, this was the things that helped me learn a lot.
And just one more question. For how long have you been professionally programming, more or less?
Yes, so since 2006.
That's quite some time.
Yes.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah. At that time, I was trying to be a web designer, remember? But then because the advertisement agencies that I was working, they also had like their systems, and they were in the need of someone to maintain the system. That was one of the first time that I was working with PHP, and it was actually before I start working with ASP3. I was in an agency in my university. It was like an internship in the inside of the uni, and they had like a software that they registered all these tickets for the things that they had to do, who they had the clients and all these orders, and I was helping maintaining that system, and it was challenging, I would say, because I didn't have any prior experience with PHP. My knowledge on HTML was less than basic, so it was a monster. in the beginning. I knew like algorithm. I knew, logic, programming,
Yeah.
but not like to put it in a real world, let's say. So I learned a lot, and I did many mistakes there. That was the first time that I deleted the database in production.
At least
And
it
I
was
had
in an
to figure out
internship
how to
project.
fix that. Yeah, it was crazy.
And coming back to our agenda now. So nowadays you live in Brussels, in Belgium. I want you to tell our audience, how did you get to go there? For how long have you been living there? And then we can continue from there.
Yes. So when I was touring with the band, I forgot to say Belgium in the list. Belgium was in the list. I had we had a few weeks here in Belgium. We went to Antwerp, and we stayed most of the time in Antwerp, and we played also here in Brussels one gig. So I had that kind of good memory from this time when I got back to Brazil. And I was always thinking, if I would go back to Europe, the places that I liked the most were Porto in Portugal and Antwerp in Belgium. So I had this thing, right? So getting back to the answer, after the time that we were working together, I started applying for job interviews. I had my own company, right? So I had my clients. I was working with my clients. But then I had this idea: what if I start applying to interviews, but not to get the job, but to like just get to know the market and see how things are going, and like more discovery
Interesting.
strategy.
Yeah.
And I started doing it, especially because I wanted to train my English, like in a real world situation, and because it was not like a critical need.
It's pressure.
I was not under
It's
pressure.
a really good strategy. Yes. Yeah.
So I was doing loads of interviews, not only in English but in Spanish as well, and I was practicing a lot. I was also checking if I could get some clients, because I was always saying, yes, but if you are looking for like a contractor, we can also talk about it, So it was more like not only I had this second goals about the interview, right? Yes. So it was for practicing, for trying to get a partnership with other companies. If the opportunity was really good, then maybe I would go for it. And at that time, one of our colleagues that worked with us as well sent me an email, Rodrigo. And the email, he was saying that there was a company that was looking for people to work in Belgium. I applied. The process was kind of long.
I want to have Rodrigo here as well.
Oh, that's nice. And yes, so then I got I applied. I was interviewed the first phase. Then they had many like steps as usual. But then I had a personal situation that my girlfriend at that point, we were deciding, okay, let's go to Europe. This job in Belgium sounds good, but we had this decision. Maybe we should go to Ireland, because she lived in Ireland before we met, and before going to Brazil, where we were at that moment. And then there was this dilemma: should we go to Ireland, Belgium? And then I decided, okay, I will not continue with that interview, and then I quit in favor to go to Ireland. And I would continue with my clients, with my company in Brazil. So I will not be like an employee. I would be counting on this. Okay, we were about to get married, so then because she was already European, would go with her to Ireland and continue with my clients in Brazil and start looking for other clients in Ireland. That was the first plan. It didn't work well as it was planned. So then I had a second opportunity, because it ended up that nothing that we planned didn't materialize. So I continued in Brazil, and then there was a second opportunity for going to Belgium again. At that time, I had decided to do other things while I was still doing software development with my company. But then you had
an in, right? Yeah, hostel. Yeah.
Yes, I moved to São Paulo. I opened a hostel with my cousin, and we were doing the hosteling thing while I was also doing software development. And I continued doing these interviews, right? As I was doing before. And one of that moment, I got an email again from Rodrigo with that same opportunity.
And he wanted you.
Fine. I must be going there now because it's the second time, you know?
Yeah.
So I got it in my mind, and that was kind of an unusual way because I didn't see the job opportunity online. I just saw because he told us by email. And then I was thinking, okay, which company is hiring now? And then I started looking in LinkedIn because I didn't know. And I don't know why I didn't ask him, you know? But then I decided, okay, I'll try to find it one day. And then I saw one company that was providing services. That was not the company that I applied for the first time. And then I decided, okay, I'll try to find the HR or someone. And then I managed to get the email of one of the directors of the company. And then I did like a risky move. I decided, okay,
You hacked the system.
Yes. I will send a message to this person. I will send an email. And that email has to be like shocking, surprisingly shocking. So then the person will remember and act. Then I prepared that email and I sent that email. I was hoping that it would work. And then I didn't get any reply, any response. I was thinking, it was a bad idea maybe. But then I sent another email on top of that one, just
follow up,
having like a heads up, you know, just to confirm if you received my email or not, blah 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 blah. And then it worked. Then I got an interview, and everything went well.
That's quite of a story.
Yes, it was like a crazy story. And it worked. I was of course optimistic and hoping that it would work, but it was not usual way of getting a job.
And for how long have you been living there?
I arrived in late 2021, so now it's the third year.
Yeah,
third year that I'm here. Yes.
Nice. So now that you told us how you got to Brussels finally. What do you like the most in Brussels or in Belgium in general, since you mentioned Antwerp as well? And is there anything you dislike in there?
Well, Brussels, for me, it resembles a lot São Paulo. Kind of, it's not exactly the same thing, right?
You are from São Paulo, right?
Sorry?
You are from São Paulo, right?
Yes, I'm from São Paulo. Yes. Yeah. So it's like a very chaotic place, not in a bad sense, but it has many things happening all the time, you know? It's multicultural, so there are people from everywhere.
Yeah.
So you will not feel like a stranger because everyone is from everywhere. just
Yeah.
like in São
It's the
Paulo.
capital
Uh,
of the European Union, right?
exactly. Yes. So for this, in this sense, I feel kind of home.
Hmm.
But here, the weather is not like in Brazil. So this is a very big difference that
Yeah.
I miss a lot. Brazil.
Yeah, I know what you
Here,
mean because I lived in the
yes.
Netherlands. I know what you mean.
Hmm. Exactly. But besides that, it's fine. I don't have that much problem with the cold weather. So, like the winter here, although it's real winter,
Hmm.
but nowadays it's not that cold as it was before.
Yeah.
When I arrived, it was colder than now. Now it's not that cold. The last two, well, the last winter compared to the first winter that I was here was not winter. I could not say that. So yes, so I like this multiculturalism that there is here in Brussels. I cannot say that I know a lot Belgium in general, right?
Hmm.
I've been traveling a bit around, and there are really nice places. I went back to Antwerp, I went to Ghent, I went to other cities here that are more touristic, that are beautiful. But I still feel that I have a lot to do. So
For sure, Europe is a continent.
yes, exactly. But yes, I miss a lot the Latin American energy.
I see.
Here, there's not the same kind of interaction that we are used in Latin America, and
Yeah.
I can compare with other countries in Latin America. I feel that energy.
Yeah, you went to
Not
other places where you felt part.
exactly.
I see, I see.
Exactly. But it's not the same. The only place that's, well, Latin America, you will feel more like home in
Yeah.
terms of this closeness, people.
Yeah,
Um,
similar culture.
but I like here. I'm open to this, you know. So
Sure.
I'm trying to not compare.
Of course.
Although I'm comparing. But I'm trying to not like put this, trying to see which one will win, you know?
Yeah, sure.
It's more like, okay, I recognize that there is a difference, and
Yeah.
now I'm adapting to it, and I'm trying to see the good side of it and
Sure.
learn with that experience. So
Cool.
there is a lot more to do, and I feel that I have to hurry up, because 2 years that I'm here, and I feel I didn't do many things, so I'm getting late.
I see. So let's
Yeah.
change gears a little bit. And one thing that I wanted to ask you is more in the, since we are at the Tech and Accent podcast, I want to go to the tech part a little bit. Have you been excited about anything in the tech world recently? And if so, what and why?
Uh-huh. Well, I have this personal interest on getting back to front end development. That was my beginning, you know.
Nowadays,
when
you
I
are more
started.
into full stack, right?
Yes, but I would say that although I'm full stack, the way that I would expect that if I was not Reva, and I was on a tech event, let's say, and I was having myself in front of me asking or hearing that I was full stack, I would have a different picture, you know, meaning. Although I have experience working in front and back end, I'm not doing this all the time, every day. So I think that nowadays I consider myself more like a back end developer than a full stack.
Okay.
Although I'm okay and comfortable with doing front end and working more like a front end, but the way that the front end ecosystem
Industry
evolved
ecosystem. Yeah.
compared to when I was a front end developer, it's a new world, and I feel nowadays that I have a lot more to learn, and
Yeah.
I'm eager to learn all of those things. But since it grew that much, it's too much things to try to learn everything, you know.
You have to pick one and go
Exactly. so
So what
I'm
is
still,
this one like? Because I asked you about anything exciting in the tech world. What is this one thing in the front end land that you would pick if you
yes,
want to go
so
back to more front end related stuff?
for me, my first thing is feeling comfortable with working with Node.js, like for real, you know.
Yeah.
Not knowing a bit here and there, just using JavaScript to do small things. I want to have this as I have PHP now, you know, that I can do a lot. I don't feel that I have that I'm not confident to say that I'm there
Yeah.
with Node.js. So that is my first thing.
Okay.
Recently, I was also watching presentation of the new release of Ruby on Rails, and that was something that I was like, I would like to get back to Ruby as well, because when I started, Rails was like booming at that moment, and I've learned a bit. I was surprised how fast I could do things with Rails, but later on, once I started working with the PHP, Drupal, and WordPress, I kind of forgot Rails. And now with the way that the Laravel community is doing really great, and I see that people usually compare the success of Laravel and Rails, and they are kind of going together, like innovating and doing things for their own sides of the technology that they are focused on. It gives me like this curiosity to check how it is, but it doesn't mean that I'm into it, not yet. I just have this thing.
I had the chance to work with Ruby and Rails when I worked at GitLab, and it's for sure very well structured, very well thought. Like, you don't need to think a lot to get started. There are many things that are already in place, and commands that you can run in the command line for it to bootstrap many things for you. This is quite nice, I think. But after working 1.5 years with Ruby on Rails, I kind of missed working with JavaScript, and I went back to the Node land. Changing gears again, Reva. So we talked about tech a little bit, and now I want to talk about not the accent part, but the living abroad part. Because many of the people that listen to the Tech and Accent podcast, they are interested in living abroad as well. And you are one of our guests that had this experience, right? You are having this experience. So if you had to advise anyone thinking about living abroad, what would be the advice of Reva Gomes for these people?
I would say that most of the time you will feel that you're not prepared, and you have to go even if you're not prepared. I was delaying this moment for many years because I was not feeling prepared. Yes. When I got back from the tour in 2009, I was thinking, I will go back to Europe. What will I do? I don't know. I had that boost, like this, I don't know what was that, this adrenaline boost. And then I was like in this thing. But then a few time after that I arrived, I got stuck, and I got stuck in that mentality. And it took me like years, like a decade, maybe more than a decade, to take the move, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say that you don't need to be prepared. It doesn't mean that you don't have to prepare, right?
Yeah.
It has to be something.
I think
Just don't
it's
decide
I think it's
today
more.
and I'll go tomorrow and I don't have money and I don't have anything. Then it might
Yeah.
not work.
Yeah.
Uh,
But if you go with this mentality that you mentioned, then you use your fails as learning opportunities to do better
Exactly,
next time,
yes.
right? This is why I loved when you mentioned in the beginning that you started participating in interviews just for the sake of participating and meeting people and training your English. This is a very good way. I used to do
Yeah.
this quite a lot in the past, like applying for jobs that I was not really interested, just to see how I would
Exactly.
go, just to train,
Exactly.
to be prepared to, when I am ready for my next move, I'm gonna pass because I have trained a lot.
Exactly. Yes. Mhm.
Cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's really good
Um,
advice.
And another thing that adds on top of it, I would say, is that usually things will not go as we plan most of the time. So we'll have to change plans and adapt. So if we are too like close-minded, that something will happen in this order, in this script that we prepared, then we'll get frustrated. So we need to be open-minded and be okay when something changes and we have to turn to another direction.
These are moments we might actually experience things that are even better than what we have planned, right?
Exactly.
That's really good recommendation as well. Advice, I mean. I said recommendation because my next question is if you have any content recommendations. Is there anything you read, watched, or listened recently that you would like to share with us?
There is one newsletter that I'm reading recently, and I like the way that they separate things and the topics that they bring to the newsletter. It's the TLDR newsletter.
Okay.
So too long don't read, right? The acronym. And then they have like topics. You can choose among a variety of topics like web, technologies, crypto, many things actually.
Yeah.
Web design, DevOps, marketing. So then depending on what are the things that you want to just like keep updated about, we can have it. So I find it really interesting.
I'm gonna ask you to send me the link afterwards so I can put in the show notes so people interested in reading to it can find it out as well.
Okay.
And Reva, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. If people want to reach out to you, what's the simplest way to reach Reva Gomes?
Well, you can search for Reva Gomes.
And I can put your if you want me, I can put your website or any social media in the show notes as well.
Okay. Yes. So I'm Reva Gomes in Twitter, in Instagram. I'll give also my email. But I have to say that I'm not that social media guy. So I'm kind of
but
old
just in
school
case
in
people
that sense.
just in case people want to reach out to you.
Yes. I'll probably answer more in Telegram than in Instagram. This kind of things. You know?
And to wrap up our conversation here, do you have any final message to our audience?
Well, with the accent, tech and accent context, I would say we are always learning, right? So we need to be curious, always. I'm saying that because the way that I arrived here with the level of English that I had, and the way that I'm speaking now is a lot better because I'm putting it in practice and I'm trying to learn. Right, at every conversation that I have with another person, pay attention to how they speak. Try to get like this tone, this details, and we can bring it to the technology as well. When we work with people, try to make questions, ask things, try to understand how they think. Because they might bring new ways of seeing how to do the job, how to code, how to program. So this curiosity is something.
This connects a lot with what you said in the very beginning when we were talking about open source, right? That you learned quite a lot just by answering questions, and it seems that it's something that is with you until nowadays.
Yes, that's right.
Cool. Man, it was such a pleasure speaking with you here. Thanks for being here with us and sharing your stories. And I hope to see you some next time in our podcast or in my YouTube channel or somewhere else. And I think we are done with this episode. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. It was a pleasure as well. And we see each other soon. Very soon, I think.
See ya.
This podcast was edited by Ralf Carneiro.